Welcome, everybody. I was just reading a message that said we can now pin a chat message to the top of the chat while we're discussing. I don't know if anything like that will come up, but we'll see. Maybe we'll want to pin important messages about donuts, as we tend to want to do. Welcome, everybody, to the first stream of 2023. Welcome to the new year. Today is the Lunar New Year, so if you're celebrating the Lunar New Year, it's the year of the rabbit. I wish you much jumping into a fun year ahead. Hopefully, everybody has been leaping into challenges and leaping into supporting themselves. There was a discussion happening over on the Mental Fitness Discord server earlier today or yesterday, depending on how your time traveling is going. And what we were talking about, I think, is really important to understand, and is that when we want things to go well or we want to make changes, we can really look at how we're going to support ourselves in doing that. And I know that so often I would really struggle with changes in the past when I was struggling with mental illness, struggling with my brain, because I would just want things to change. I'd be like, I really want things to be different. And I thought just the amount of wanting it and the amount of being angry at myself was how a change would happen. And I also thought I just had to make the change. Like, I needed to feel different. I needed to think differently, and that I would make this change. It was way more helpful to just start to look at, how do I support myself in changing actions, in doing actions differently? And I don't actually have to change. I may still really dislike doing something. I may still be really anxious while doing something. I may not be motivated to do something, but I can still do it. But understanding that, I'm always, the first thing that's going to pop into my head is to talk me out of whatever it is I actually want to be doing. I need to look at how to support myself in sticking with that action and sustaining it, because my brain is going to come up with so many challenges and barriers to get in the way. And that's okay. That's not an issue. And so often we think, I wanted to make this change. I wanted to do something differently, but I had these thoughts that, I shouldn't, so I didn't. And no, those thoughts, they can be there, where we think, I shouldn't do this, I don't want to do this, I want to put it off. All of those thoughts can be there. We can feel really tired, we can feel really anxious, we can feel like we're going to have a panic attack. We can be having a panic attack. And we can still do things that we know are useful to us, like that experience can come along for the ride. Hey, Graham. And I hope you're doing well as well. It's good to see you, Graham. And Erica, good morning. He said, it reminds me of that old joke about the man who prays every day to win the lottery. Please, God, let me win the lottery. Then finally God comes down and says, please, son, buy a ticket. Exactly. We've actually got to be doing the thing that's going to take us in that direction. But yeah, so often we're just like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to be different. Pom Pom Kitty, hello. Lokesh, hello. Thanks for stopping on by, everybody. Welcome to Brain Tech Support Live. The Rocky Fighter, to you as well. It's good to see you. Welcome, everybody, to the new year. What we do with Brain Tech Support Live is talk about how to go the places we want to go in life. We're exploring questions and exploring mental health adventures, is that we can really make it about the skills we want to build. That working on our mental health, even when we're working on maybe things we'd see as really difficult and challenging, it's still so useful to make that about what we want to build. That we're not coming to the task of working on our mental health, making it about avoiding drowning. What we want to do is make it about swimming. Recognizing that the moment we get in a pool for the first time to learn how to swim, we're a swimmer. We're no longer managing drowning. We're no longer trying to defeat drowning. It's really this shift to, hey, I want to learn some skills that are useful to me. And there's so many different ways I can learn those skills and so many different ways I can apply them. And I want to explore that. And once we're exploring that, that becomes the thing we grow. And it doesn't have to be about getting rid of something or fighting something. Because so often we can approach mental health as being about getting rid of something. We approach mental health as though it's just about not drowning. We say, oh, I don't want to struggle with anxiety. I don't want to be bothered by intrusive thoughts. But that's just like somebody saying, well, my only goal is not to drown. My only goal is not to struggle in the water. But the reality is, even the best swimmer is actually going to seek out opportunities to struggle in the water. If you work on your mental health, you're even when you're doing all sorts of things you never thought possible, you're still going to look for opportunities to find some struggle that might be challenging, because it's going to be part of doing things that you've never done before. It's going to be part of exploring new territory. And that's okay. Like, it's actually going to be something you seek out. And so, yeah, not making it about trying to get rid of something. Okay, she said, why do OCD thoughts seem so real? It's because we get into this habit of judging some brain stuff, some thoughts as real. Because the reality is that all of the thoughts in our head are not reality. They're real thoughts. And so, yeah, it can actually, what it can help to look at there is how you judge other stuff in your head that you like. So a saying I often refer to around this: if I believe my critics when they say I'm right, I have to believe them when they say I'm wrong. So if you believe the stuff your brain throws up is real when you like it, then of course you're going to believe it when the brain throws up stuff that you dislike, because you already established around the stuff you like that, hey, brain stuff is real, it's true, it's fact. I'm going to base my actions around it. And so that's why when people are working on ruminating, for instance, I often suggest you start learning how to cut out ruminating around things you like to ruminate about. Because people often try to cut out ruminating around things they find terrifying and threatening. And so that's much more difficult. It's especially difficult if you're teaching the brain all day that you are going to react to things it throws up that aren't threatening. And so the logic there is off, right? You'll react to things that aren't threatening, but now you're trying to not react to things that are threatening. And so the brain doesn't get it. But if we teach the brain, hey, yeah, you can throw up whatever you want, and I'm not going to put it in charge of how I spend my time and energy, then it's much easier to extend that same practice to things that are much more threatening. Liam, he said, I have overcome all other OCD themes except for asbestos fears. How do I overcome that one? So one thing, it might help to ditch the idea of overcoming. And I'd be really curious about what you mean by overcoming it. Because that typically, trying to overcome a fear, like you want to get rid of the fear, is gonna lock the brain into a cycle of throwing up some kind of fear that you find really, really difficult. And instead, I would look at actions. So like, you can be afraid that things are full of asbestos, and you can still not put that in charge of your actions. So that's something you can do now. And maybe you'll still be afraid that, yeah, you just cooked dinner and it was full of asbestos. And so that's about going, yeah, I just cooked dinner and it's full of asbestos, and now my body is full of asbestos. Enjoy dinner. That's something you can do now. But if you're trying to like get rid of the fear, then the brain's gonna keep pushing it on you. Pom Kitty, I brought up your question and then YouTube made it fade away. Okay, nowadays, you said, nowadays I'm getting a bit existential. Like, what is the point of life and point of things? I get really anxious when I have these thoughts. I know there's so much to life and so many people who love me, but these self-harming thoughts seem so scary. And Public, do you have a question about that? Hope, you said, do you think your approach and ACT works for other weird stuff other than OCD? So ACT is incredibly extensively researched for a whole range of issues. And yeah, if you go on the Association of Contextual and Behavioral Sciences, they're often sharing new studies that are coming out. There's thousands of randomized control studies looking at ACT for just a vast range of issues, including around things like physical pain and chronic illnesses. But yeah, when your question is just that you said works for other weird stuff other than OCD, I don't know what you're trying to do with it. Like I would say ACT is useful. Like if you're starting a business, right? Like I learned about following values, accepting uncertainty in the business world before I knew about ACT. That came after. So I would say, like, these same principles are really useful if you're doing things in life. But I don't know what kind of weird stuff you're doing. Like if you're trying to use ACT to build a motorhome that you can launch into space, you might be able to apply some of the principles, but I don't know just how useful it'll be to shoot a motorhome into space. And yeah, I mean, it's not the weirdest thing I can think of. There could be weirder things. So I don't know. But in terms of applying ACT throughout helping people with a range of human experiences, the whole point of ACT is that it's transdiagnostic. So it's widely used now with a great evidence base across physical illnesses and mental illnesses. Simon, you said, I suffer from bad stomach and canker sores. I believe it's related to OCD. Any tips? So yeah, it's not uncommon, but there it's going to be cutting out the compulsions. So, and if you already know that it's related to OCD, so in terms of tips, the question I would have for you is like, what's getting in the way of cutting out the compulsions? Liam. Yeah, so explaining about asbestos, you said not being scared of anymore. And so it can really help to see that it's not about asbestos, it's about the fear. And so often that's the case. Like all the brain is doing is throwing up the topic that will get us scared and then we'll react to that fear. Just like it's a kind of contamination. We're like, I've got to get rid of this feeling. I shouldn't have this feeling. So as I was mentioning there, it's going to be more useful probably to, like make it okay to be afraid of asbestos. That doesn't have to control your actions. You can be afraid of getting poisoned with asbestos and do all of the things you want to do in life. And that fear could be there because you don't have to fix a fear. You don't have to fix that uncomfortable feeling. So it might help to see it's not about asbestos. It's about wanting to clean away that uncomfortable feeling. But you can have that uncomfortable feeling. Blooper 785, thank you for watching this weekend. I'm glad you could make it. And as Erica mentioned down below too, Liam, a couple questions there to think about, like what is the fear behind asbestos? Like is it illness, is it death, is it contamination? Always useful to look at too, like what are we afraid we're gonna miss out on? Because yeah, often it's that's the thing to actually go after. Hope, you said, how do I stop remembering the scary posts about schizophrenia that I read online that are triggering the fear and judgments around tinnitus? And so just like I was talking about there with the asbestos fear, you don't have to forget them. Like that's actually like trying to forget it. Be like, oh, I shouldn't be afraid of this. I can't have this fear. Yeah, you can remember them. Like you read them. It's more about learning how to recognize that. And I described it as learning how to touch it. Like it felt like there were all sorts of things, memories, topics that my brain would throw up, and I didn't want to touch them. It was like they were physical objects, and like I just wanted to do anything to get rid of them. And it was really useful to learn how I could touch anything. Another metaphor that helped me with it was seeing it as there was this huge mansion, this big house, and it had all these rooms. And there were all these things in the rooms that I didn't want to touch. And working on my mental health wasn't about cleaning out all the rooms where you say, oh, these things are triggering, let's throw them all out. These things are scary, let's get rid of them. It was about wanting to learn how to go in any room and pick up any object and put it back down again. So, okay, I read a bunch of articles about schizophrenia. Okay. And I read a bunch of symptoms that I can identify in my life. Okay. And it feels uncomfortable. Being able to say, okay, I can be uncomfortable too. I can also pick that up and put it down again. And so it's that. Rather than trying to clean away this stuff, because then we just get into a bunch of cleaning compulsions. Two to walk. He said, I've gotten pretty good at doing things that are important to me while having anxiety in all its forms. As I've changed on this journey, focus on physical and mental fitness and personal growth, I always don't enjoy doing things with friends because they have other interests. I prefer to do things with my wife and our son or work on projects. But why does this feel so hard? The world always tells you friends are so important. Socializing is so important. And so are you asking me why it feels hard? Or what do you think? What would you find useful in a response from me? Pump up, kitty. So these thoughts are the scariest that I've had till now. How do I deal with them? I try to let them be there, but I'm scared of losing control. And I'd wonder if I get a panic attack. Yeah, so the fear of losing control, the fear of having a panic attack, the fear of losing our minds is very common. And even the moment we start reacting to these thoughts and putting life on hold because we want to fix these thoughts, we want to solve the fear, we're actually making it come true, right? The brain's throwing up some stuff, and then we're putting life on hold and giving control over to that stuff as we chase solutions to it. So I always find it useful to emphasize that to people. Like the fear is losing control. So we don't want to choose to give up control to the stuff the brain's throwing up. Instead, we want to practice living our lives. I call the practice of being ourselves. And so identifying what are those actions you want to do that are being you. So yeah, if you see, I have the fear of losing control, that's great. Of course, you want to live your life and be yourself. So what does that mean today? What does that mean this week? And then it's about practicing those actions while having that fear and letting the brain know. It's saying, yeah, brain, of course we're afraid of that. I get it, brain. You're trying to help me. Kind of giving it a hug, thanking it, and saying, yeah, but look, we're going to go live our life right now. Like, here are the actions we're going to do today that are really about being ourselves. And we're in charge of those. Maybe tomorrow I'll be locked up in an insane asylum. But today I can choose to live my life. So let's do that. Because clearly we're afraid of missing out on that. Hecky said, hope you're having a fantastic day so far. I am. Thank you. So do you have any tips for getting to sleep faster? I really struggle because there is a constant need for compulsions as it gets worse at night, and fighting them would just cause a lack of sleep due to the anxiety. So I have a lot of questions here. So I'll explain a couple things. So one, it's very common. I used to do this a lot, to have tons of compulsions at night. And to be convinced that if we don't do all the compulsions at night, we won't be able to sleep. And absolutely, when you start to cut out those compulsions, it's very likely that you won't get to sleep. And it's necessary to risk that. Because in so many ways, that's often the risk, right? Because sleep is this, speaking of control, uncontrollable thing. we want to get sleep right. We worry, oh, if I don't sleep, it'll mess up my work. I won't get to be myself. It'll create all sorts of problems. So sleep becomes this thing we try to control, but then it just becomes an excuse to do lots of compulsions. So yeah, I had to risk it. And yeah, that meant when I was cutting out compulsions at night, because so also though, I used to stay up a really long time doing compulsions until I was so exhausted I would fall asleep. But I was only doing the compulsions partly because I thought I needed to do them. But yeah, when I first cut them out, yeah, there were like I wouldn't fall asleep. And so the exercise was, and it was really challenging to be like, yeah, I'm feeling this intense pressure to do the compulsions, and yeah, I can't sleep. It's confirming all my fears, and I'm not going to do them. And so knowing what you're going to do lying there in bed instead of doing compulsions can be useful. Dada Krishna Nikith, hello. Thanks for joining. Jessica said, I'm also struggling with the overwhelming feeling that my thoughts are true because I've had them for 11 years. That's a good amount of time to have thoughts. I feel like that's like a lot of rums. Like I think 11 years? I feel like there was a really good rum that I liked in Panama, but it was from Guatemala. No, no, it wasn't. There was a good 12-year rum. And I feel like thoughts, if we like let thoughts like really ferment for like 12 years, I mean that they start to get smooth. Alexander, I said how to break embedded brain habits to be free from intrusive false thoughts. No, so I would see that is the compulsion. Like trying to get rid of them might be the embedded habit. I wouldn't see that as a brain habit. It can really help to recognize that's us, right? Like the person who wants to get rid of them, like that's something we can change, right? If my goal is to clean away thoughts, just like if my goal is to like get a feeling that my hands are clean, right? That's me choosing that. And so it really helps to change that goal because it's that goal that just ends up fueling the fear. Jessica said, I often reach a point when I can't tell obsessions from compulsions. I just don't know if my brain is throwing more stuff or I'm ruminating. So just in general, and I don't know if you caught it before, I was talking about like the issue with real thoughts or believing thoughts is that we often believe other stuff the brain throws up. So it really helped me to see that everything the brain throws up is the same brain stuff. So when we put it in that category, we say, look, it's not like there's real stuff and false stuff and brain stuff and mental illness stuff, OCD stuff, BPD stuff, whatever. Brain stuff is all in this category. It's just an organ. It is like stomach stuff. Where your stomach makes noises. You're not constantly going, oh, does that little gurgle in my stomach just made, does that mean something about what I'm doing? Does that mean something about my relationship? Oh, I'm a bit constipated. Oh no, does that mean I'm in the wrong career? Right? Trying to interpret stuff coming out of the brain is no different than trying to interpret meaning from stuff coming out of any of your other organs. Just an organ doing its thing. Sometimes it lines up conveniently with what we want to do. Other times it's in the way. But it really helps to knock it down to just an organ. Alani, indeed, you're welcome. So thank you for joining us. Absolutely, you can ask questions. You can just post them there in the chat. Prisco said, my anxiety makes me nauseous. And at the moment, I have a fear of being nauseous, which makes me more nauseous. Yes. And sometimes I start to dry heave and even throw up. I don't know what to do. So really common. I'm working on a novel right now, and this springs to mind because I was just editing a scene. The main character has the exact same issue. She was just explaining that the only thing more terrifying than vomiting in space is meeting new people in space. That nausea. So I struggled with the fear of vomit too, and it often then is just feeling nauseous. Uh, it really helped me to explore how I interact with uncomfortable physical experiences. And then, so recognizing that we can do compulsions around uncomfortable experiences. Sometimes those uncomfortable experiences are mental, but a lot of the time, for a lot of us, they're very physical and they're real physical experiences, like being nauseous. And then it gets us to do things like dry heaving and so on. And so, yeah, it's just starting to see, like starting to look at, like, especially if you're working with somebody or you have a good book on mental health, explore the compulsions that are happening around physical experiences. That's going to be the stuff to then cut out. And so it'll be like, what happens if you don't go and dry heave? So it's noticing that, noticing the fears around that, and then not fixing them. And so one of the things I had to work on was like wanting to go and vomit in front of people. If my brain's like, oh, like I think you're, so in the past it'd be like, oh, you're nauseous, you're about to go and do something. Oh no, you can't vomit in front of people. You should go throw up now to solve it. Things like that. I mean, like, no, I'm gonna go. If I'm gonna vomit on people, I want to just spectacularly projectile vomit all over this room of people, and wanting it, just like we would do with something like panic attacks or something like that. So yeah, just explore what are those compulsions that happen around controlling the uncomfortable experience, and then it's going to be about not doing those. And yeah, it's going to feel wild. Oh, Erica, thank you for explaining about questions. Alani said, I have this weird feeling. I look at people and I don't recognize them. I know it sounds weird. I know they are familiar, but they look different from before I struggled with anxiety. So one, do you know how I can get over that? Two, oh, I think you must be working on two. So again, I would look at not getting over it. There's all sorts of compulsions that happen around perceptions and things like feeling like we don't know. So one way is looking at compulsions in a general sense has a lot to do with certainty, right? Is this thought real? Is that memory real? Am I real? Do I know these people? Do I feel right? And so the brain's doing all of this judging. And because we're chasing that right feeling, that certainty, the brain is going to question it. Right? So if you want to chase a feeling that you recognize people, that pretty much guarantees you're not going to recognize them. It's just like if you want a feeling of being clean, you're going to feel dirty. And you're going to have to do more and more and more and more things to feel clean, which is going to make you feel dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And so, yeah, if you want a feeling of recognizing people, you won't. And so it's the same thing that happens with depersonalization or body dysmorphic disorder. The more we check to get that right feeling, the more our perception of reality gets warped. So we feel less and less like ourselves, or we perceive ourselves as more and more contaminated. So yeah, at first it's actually going to be about going into social situations, noticing the brain go, ooh, we don't recognize that person. They look different. And wanting that. Be like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to go talk to that person. They look so different. They look wrong. I don't recognize them. Maybe I'm going to mess up. And so like a question Erica raised earlier to a different topic, it could really help to look at what you're afraid of there. Like, why does it matter if you're not recognizing them in the same way as before? What's the fear there? Because that'll be the thing to risk in that moment. Be like, okay, maybe I don't know them. I'm going to go and talk to them, and I can give them what I want to give. Maybe I'm going to give my attention to this person. I can give that. I don't need to recognize them. I don't need to know them. And so you really dig into that fear, but practice being yourself. T said, do you have any tips on getting over emetophobia? Oh, yes, related to what we were just talking about. Now I'm reading a book called Thrive for the second time. The first time I didn't do all the exercises, but I feel like progress has been slow. So there's a video on my channel about emetophobia. So there was a stream I did, and I go through the exercises I did around emetophobia. So I don't know if you caught it. We were talking about it before with nausea a bit and like wanting it. But yeah, there's a whole like hour-long stream on my channel. And so I think, I mean, if you type emetophobia, I think it'll come up. Or so there's something about vomit. And yeah, maybe check that out because then there'll be a detailed look. Because yeah, I struggled with emetophobia. It was really useful to work on having foods in my life. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you can even see one of the foods. There's a huge bag of oats back there in the background, somewhere back there. Because yeah, oatmeal was one of the foods I hadn't eaten my entire life. Erica, you know, it's funny you bring up the question about what about vomiting in front of new people in space. So there was a line about that in the book. I just took it out, but on purpose because I was like, oh, people will just automatically connect those two as like that would be the worst possible thing. Um, so it felt a bit redundant. So yeah, you're asking the exact question that hopefully the reader will ask. Oh, Isabel, thank you for joining us in Singapore time zone and all the other time zones that are joining us today. Sivelin, you said, do I feel comfortable when I travel around the world alone? I like traveling around the world. Um, but I like staying in places. Like I mean, I stay in places for kind of a long time, maybe, from some people's perspectives. And I do it alone. And I guess what I'm trying to think of in your question, I don't think of it in terms of comfort. I do when I go to places. I'm very conscious of making that place feel like a home, and I'm also very conscious of making sure I build social connections in each place I go to. So yeah, I would see it, traveling alone, but in a sense, like when I lived in one place and when then would travel to do like business consulting, like strategy workshops and stuff, I was traveling alone, and then there would be people in the place I would go to. But in many ways, I'd go and facilitate a strategy session, and there'd be like whatever 50 people there. I would never see any of those people again. And so I would say actually now, the way I travel, and I make sure I develop friendships in each place, and I try to meet one person in each place I stay in for a long period of time, so usually for 2 months. So one person in each place I stay in for 2 months that I will stay in contact with after I leave. So in that sense, I make more connections than when I lived in one place and traveled for work. Because quite often, too, in a work thing, you're not like making friends usually. It's kind of very work focused. Yeah. So it's yeah, I do travel alone in a sense, but I would say I make more connection now than when I, in a sense, was not traveling alone. Costento, yeah, we're on a different time zone. Thanks for joining. You're preparing for an entrance exam? I just have developed an obsession to perform better than a particular person. I get thoughts like if I don't score more, I won't get into university and fail. Oh, yeah, that competition it's really distracting, right? Philizop, he said, do you believe in reincarnation or any kind of spirituality? I always wondered because you seem like a deep person. Oh, I would say you're really conflating a lot of things together there. Because I mean, somebody could be spiritual and not believe in reincarnation, um, and I wouldn't see deepness as being connected to any of those things either. Mm. But to the question of, do I believe in reincarnation though? No. Kimberly said, how can I prevent linking painful emotions to my tattoos after subsequently dating the artist and ending up with a broken heart? Oh, well, I mean, these are, relationships or experiences we have. Uh, we can feel the pain of relationship, right? Like that's something we have on this journey. And in each new relationship we step into, but in each new step we take in life, that's very much the culmination of all of the experiences we've had, the difficult experiences and the happy experiences and the painful and the challenging and the exciting. All of those goes into each moment, and they're there, and we can touch that. At the same time, I don't know the specifics of the relationship, and the experience you had there, but I mean, tattoos are also things that people can get removed. They can get cover-ups. So yeah, just recognizing you have a lot of options for whatever is gonna work for you as you continue to take steps forward. Oh, Alani, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Oh, Erica, thank you. An excellent description about yeah, rather than just describing things we don't like. Yeah, and to explain that to that's because if you explain a painful experience, I don't see a problem with that. Uh, we have a lot of painful experiences in life. And we get into challenges and struggles when we're trying to clean them away. Right? So much of it's like, oh, I hate this thing. It shouldn't be here. And that creates a lot of struggle and suffering for us. So yeah, and it's really genuine. If you describe a difficult experience, my reaction, like I don't see that and go, oh, like how can I help you fix that? I see that and go, yeah, that's a thing that happened to you. Yeah, like it doesn't occur to me to go like, oh, we should get rid of that. No, so those are things that happen. But yeah, if you have a question about a thing you want to be doing, again, right, the difference between drowning and swimming. If you just describe drowning, I'm gonna be like, yeah, drowning happens. Like it's in our genes. We've been living around water for a long time and we still can't breathe underwater. So, but if you want to learn how to swim, then we've got to talk about like where it is you want to go and what you want to do. And that's a very different discussion than, this sucked. I got some water up my nose. Sanjay, you said how to stop feeling angry at small things. So it can be helpful to look at. And so yeah, there's the judgment. So it'll be useful to look at, how you're judging things and wanting to control things. When people bring up something like this, I always ask them, what kind of things do you like to control? Because if you're teaching the brain, like we should control things, we should control things. And then there's something you don't control, natural to judge that, to get upset about that. But what it's also important to look at is that you can get angry about small things. That doesn't mean you have to put that in charge of your actions. You can notice, oh, I'm judging that right now. And I can think of an experience like this recently. Recently I took an unnecessarily long series of plane rides, and I ended up not sleeping very much on this route, and so that we're talking like a very small number of hours of sleep over the course of 2 days. And so when you do that, right, I know my brain is just gonna have like no capacity to lift anything. I suppose it could get easily frustrated, but also I know it's gonna dislike stuff. So I've just learned, my brain's it's kind of like a tired kid. So if it's really tired and right, you present the kid even its favorite thing, it's like, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that, I hate this. And so I landed after, I think this was after, yeah, this was after 3 flights. I'd been on planes for a very long time. I landed at Haneda Airport in one of their terminals that doesn't have a lot of food. And it was in the morning, so a lot of shops were still closed. And so I knew that when I went to the food court and like I felt weird, I knew when I got to the food court, my brain would just like hate everything. And what would happen is that if I listened to my brain, I would spend a lot of time walking around, hating everything, hating on the lines, hating and disliking all the options. So before going to the food court, I decided that I would just go to the second place that I came to. Didn't matter what it was. Didn't matter if there was a lineup. None of that mattered, because I knew if I got into like trying to pick the right place, after super long flight, jet lag, no sleep, my brain was just going to be useless. And so yeah, you can also just recognize, hey, you're going to go into a situation, your brain's going to want to get mad about some small things. You know that. Again, it's just an organ. If you put certain things in your stomach's going to act a certain way. Brain is exactly the same. So how are you going to work around that proactively in advance? And so you just decide, hey, I'm going to go here instead. Boom. We're not even going to debate it. Is that the second place in the food court? It is. Go. No need to ask the silly judgment organ. SW said, I've spoken to you on Instagram. I'm really struggling at the moment and had an intrusive laugh in my head, which has caused a lot of anxiety and obsessive rumination. One of my main compulsions is seeking reassurance, and the mental health people are no longer giving me reassurance. So do I just accept that it may be something other than OCD? Whoever the mental health people are, they should not have been giving you reassurance in the first place. So that kind of compulsion is going to be really unhelpful. And so then when you're saying, do I just accept it maybe something other than OCD, you're still looking for like reassurance, like what's the right way to do something with this and so on. It can really help to look at how would you like to be spending your time and energy on something else. That whatever this is, like you don't actually have to spend any time and energy on it. Nitin, yeah, you said, isn't mental fitness about ditching the logical brain? The logic just makes us feel trapped. Indeed. Yeah, it really helped me to see that so much of mental illness was actually super logical. It's just running through all of these judgments and reasoning, and that the reasoning will always be quite solid because it's going to be based on these perceptions that are skewed by the brain. And so, yeah, in many ways, it helped me to see that taking care of my mental health was going to feel irrational, and that it often felt very unreasonable. And the brain always had really good logical reasons to do compulsions. Philosoph, you said, how can one apply ERP to non-OCD experiences such as anxiety or depression or dissociation? Some tea. So yeah, it could help to see, like it could help to take a step away from like the label of OCD, right? And really just look at mental health. Because also what you're describing there with those other labels too are uncomfortable experiences that somebody's probably going to do a bunch of controlling behaviors around, and they're going to start to notice problems when those controlling behaviors are not beneficial in their lives. And all we're looking at with ERP is the exposure piece, so having an uncomfortable feeling, and then the response prevention. So we're not going to do the unhelpful habit that we did in the past. Instead, we're going to give our time and energy to something that's more helpful to us. And so that's something you can apply across the board. I mentioned earlier that I first learned about identifying values and learning how to accept emotions and uncertainty in the business world. In a business strategy workshop, one of the first things we would talk about was the fact that as we started to explore doing innovative things, people's reaction would be to hit that uncertainty and fall back on something they've done before. You could say it's an ERP exercise to experience the uncertainty of innovation, and instead of going back to the easy, comfortable old habits, take a step forward and do something new. So that is a kind of a principle and a practice you can apply throughout life. So whether it's something in our personal lives where we're struggling with feelings of like dissociation, not being ourselves, the spiral of depression, having those experiences and choosing to do an action that's actually useful to us. Or in business, noticing the urge to do something that may feel comfortable, but actually doing something that's led by what your user wants or your customer wants or your community needs. That kind of principle is maybe seeing it not as a therapy or a treatment, but just a really useful principle in life. Goal is simple. He said, I want to be implementing a more consistent exercise regime, but I've noticed there's almost zero drive or motivation there. And of course, feelings aren't great as a basis for action. Exercise, things like that can't be about motivation. Because if we're not motivated, then we won't do it. And then if we don't do it, it's also more difficult to be motivated. It really helps to pick something. I always suggest people like pick a thing you want to move towards, like maybe doing like a run of a particular distance. And getting involved in something can help a lot too, like exercising in some kind of community. Picking a direction you want to go, a skill you want to build. So not about fixing something, not about like losing weight, not about hating on your body. It's got to be about something like, hey, I want to learn how to swim. I'm going to take swimming lessons. I want to learn how to run a 5K. I'm going to sign up for a 5K race, and I'm going to do a 5K running program for the next 2 months. And so it's just going to tell me the exercises to do, and I'm going to do them. So really finding what that is for you, and then following through on it. Prisiko, you said, I've become really agoraphobic due to emetophobia. Yeah, because I'm scared I'm going to throw up in front of everyone. Yes, is exposure therapy helpful for this mental disorder? Check out the stream on emetophobia. So it talks about that. You'll even see the image on the video is of a person vomiting on another person. That's the thing to go for. And recognizing this so often, it's not a fear of vomit, it's a fear of I'm going to get judged by other people. So even the way we label it as emetophobia is not actually that useful because it's just like so many other fears. It's that, oh no, I'm going to vomit on somebody, I'm going to be judged, I'm going to be shamed, embarrassed, etc. People are going to leave me, etc. I won't be able to do the things I want to do in life. So it can help to recognize that. It's going to be about, I don't know if you caught it, I mentioned it before, it's going to be about wanting to go to public places and vomit on people. Francis Bella, my mind throws the possibility at me that in the past I may have killed, harmed someone on a night out when I can't fully remember. How to let go of the guilt that comes from deciding to stop checking? It can help. So it's common that fears like this come up. It can really help to recognize that, but like the checking, like there's nothing in the compulsions that's going to have anything to do with any guilt or anything like that. So likewise, you see like how do I deal with the guilt of not checking? But like the checking was never going to do anything. Like that's just the brain's lie to be like, oh well, if you check in, make sure that's going to give us something. Or if you check in, you find out you did it, well we can be punished, or we're going to fix whatever, and so on. And so that's just the part of it's recognizing that's just the brain's lie. Again, it's like any contamination fear, the brain's just saying like, what if you contaminated your life? We've got to find out. Instead, it's way more useful to shift the focus to the present. In the fear, you can see how you want to treat people and what you want to give to people. And you can give to people and give to your community now, in the present. You can do that with your actions today. Because I 100% guarantee you that spending hours ruminating and checking is actually doing nothing to benefit anybody else. One of the things that everybody can consider as you're exploring mental health is that when we're struggling and really practicing mental illness, we typically get into a very transactional mindset and framework where, like, so one, we're always thinking like, oh, if I did a bad thing, I need to do something to clean it. But likewise, it comes up in all sorts of ways where we think like, oh, if I do a good thing, I'm like earning some kind of rewards, or like people should reward me, or oh, I don't want to receive a gift from somebody because then I owe them. And we just end up very transactional throughout life. And it's useful to just start to notice that, because it can really trip us up, especially in things like romantic relationships, but also business relationships, also in our personal life, where we may feel like, oh, I can't celebrate my birthday. I can't talk about good things that have happened to me because then other people are going to owe me, or I'm going to owe other people. And just really starting to notice that transactional mindset and recognize it's just the brain's way of getting us to do a lot of compulsions. You don't have to approach life like that. Isabel, this is a really important question. You said, so I was talking about picking the second place to go to, no, questions about it. And you said, what if the second place in the food court didn't have donuts? And it didn't. And this is where trust comes up, though. It's recognizing that moment, because the moment I go, okay, we're going to go to the second place, it's like, oh, but what if they don't have something good? And you're not like, because also I was only in Japan essentially for, like 5 hours. It's like, oh, but like you should get something good, and like you're only here for 5 hours. Like you should eat like good food. You should go get good donuts. All of that. And so it's giving myself trust in those moments, because it does come up, and like that feeling of loss. We're gonna lose something if we don't get the right thing. But I know if I listen to that, then that just becomes, I'll just waste 5 hours trying to get the right thing. And so I trust myself to give myself donuts in the future. Maybe I won't give myself donuts right now, but I trust myself to find donuts. And so, yeah, it is that. Just trusting myself to take care of myself in the future. SW said, my first thought to what I'd like to be doing is not feeling or thinking the way I am. So that's not a doing thing. Again, like think about the difference between wanting to avoid drowning and wanting to learn how to swim. So saying, I don't want to feel like I'm drowning. That's not doing a thing. That's just avoiding a thing. What do you want to add in? It's not going to be about avoiding or subtracting something. Kesh said, for years now, sometimes I'm scrolling across YouTube for some other reason, but I feel a temptation to watch OCD videos when it pops up, because I think being educated helps. Subtle OCD, yeah, I find it useful. Like I tell people, like once you know this stuff, notice that, to be like, oh, I've got to learn more, but instead go and watch a video about something you wanna add into your life. So yeah, if you're like, I want to be a great donut baker, but oh no, what if OCD comes back and it disrupts my chance of becoming the world's greatest donut baker? It's that moment to recognize, yeah, so I'm afraid of that because I want to make donuts. So the thing to do right now is not to go and research OCD. The thing to do right now is to go and practice making donuts. Barb, hello, welcome. Rocky said, if I keep the belief that life is easy and work on that perception, things will actually be easy. Erica said, little kids are so good at being willing to throw up in front of and on people. Yes, let's have that spirit. Oh, you're welcome, Francis. Rocky said, to be perfect, is it a barrier to OCD recovery? Well, it's not possible to be perfect. I don't even know, like perfect at what. So if you're chasing perfection, I mean, I just think it would probably consume a lot of your time, and like you would never get there. Erica, is it how do you build routines and structure your time as a self-employed person? When I try to be my own boss, I'm a pretty terrible one. Yeah, so one of the things you can think about that helped me a lot at the start was actually thinking of uh, being a boss, and so actually how would I structure things for other people? Because I am much more I'm much kinder to other people, and so one way of thinking about it is if I was planning a workshop, I'd be very conscious of uh, how much energy people have, and thinking about, okay, well, if we do an exercise where they just have to make a bunch of stuff, they're really going to want to learn something after that. And oh, like they're going to need breaks. We're going to need to give them a chance to go and, answer emails. They're going to need to eat. We've got to make sure they've got interesting food. We've got to end on something interesting, that's going to lead into next day's work. So really putting the same awareness of humans, how humans stay engaged, into planning my own workday. Because I would, if I was planning a workshop, I would never do some of the things that I noticed myself doing to myself. I was like essentially just planning a day where I was guaranteed to kind of check out, not be effective, not really even make things in the right order. So yeah, at first it was actually thinking about it as though I'm doing it for somebody else. And that continues to be useful to think about, because also to kind of plan out a week, because it can be so easy to just kind of get reactive because there's so much happening too, that like I could just react to stuff, but then I notice like I'm not able to make the time I need to make for stuff. Like right now. So I still haven't finished up the novel yet, and so I've made some extra space in these next 2 weeks to try to finish it up. But there's a lot going on, and I'm in a new place, and I see clients quite a lot, and it's really great. Like that's amazing that I have the privilege to do that, and so but it makes me also have to be very intentional about how I plan out the creative work, because if I just leave it kind of open, I probably wouldn't get everything done that I need to get done. So I don't know, I have a note around here somewhere which was kind of like today's workshop schedule. And so I planned it out like a creative workshop, like, oh, and so it was actually, we're gonna write this, and I already knew what we were gonna write there. And then there's these kind of little notes in the book. So then I was like, oh, they're like handwritten notes. So I was like, oh, we're gonna make some of the handwritten notes. So we see there's kind of like a break there. And then, oh, we're gonna watch a video, and it was like a sci-fi video. So it's like related to space, but it's kind of related but relaxed. And then we're gonna write some stuff. Then we're gonna do meditation. Then we're gonna write some stuff. And so I really look at how to set everything up in advance and manage myself like I was a random person I was just trying to give a good experience to. Kimberly, thank you so much for the donation. I love the little animated person. Kimberly, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Barb, I see you asking about a question, but yeah, there's no question on my screen. It's possible there's some kind of word. YouTube automatically filters out kind of messages it decides are like not allowed. Yeah, so like Erica said, it doesn't show up. No, yeah, it does not. I see you said, is it visible now? And then there's just a message that says thought. So yeah, if you posted something in there, and thought was a spelling correction. Yeah, it's not showing the other message, so there must be some kind of word in there that YouTube's automatically filtering out. Rocky Fighter, you said, how to know you're becoming better in recovery? Yeah, this is why it's so important that we track something we want to keep. So if you think about swimming, you want to track, okay, what's your goal? Like, do you want to swim further? Do you want to learn different strokes, like backstroke and breaststroke and butterfly? And then you track that. So you're not tracking like how little water got up my nose today, or did I feel like I was struggling? You don't want to track that, because if you're progressing, you're probably going to you'll actually want to kind of keep struggling. You might keep on being really sore. And so you want to measure something objective that's actually taking you in the direction you want to go. Blooper said, I got broken up with over text on Wednesday. Oh, I'm sorry for the heartbreak. Said, I feel lost and aimless. What are the skills I need to move on and create my own values? But that sounds like just a great question to ask yourself. I mean, I don't have any particular things to share with you on that. Like that sounds like a great question. And it's just asking that, right? Whatever you decide to explore. So really asking, like what would help you right now? If you notice that your values were really wrapped up in the relationship, it could help to take a moment to sit down and say, oh, like, okay, what is important to me now? How am I going to take care of myself? What are the things I want to give to myself right now? And you don't have to be certain about them, right? They're just things that you get to try and explore. And you can just be kind to yourself right now. Breakups are tough. And we don't, we can feel them. We don't have to go like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this right now. I've got to fix this feeling before I move on. We can take steps forward and feel loss and feel that love that was there and maybe hurts right now. Nathan, you said, how would you show to your brain that it's no special snowflake and it's one normal useless helper like all the others intruding and all that we would value? And he said, when could we expect you in India? I'm not sure when I'll get to India next, but hopefully soon. We can do some workshops again. But when it comes to knocking down the importance of the brain, I find it's just coming through practice, right? It's just through that practice. But again, especially around things we like. For instance, it was so useful to learn I didn't have to ruminate when I was just, walking to the grocery store, and ruminating just meant like planning a work presentation or planning my grocery list. So just trying to recognize that mindfulness was something I didn't have to practice around a problem. Mindfulness was just a much more enjoyable way of being. But as we're practicing mindfulness, as we're sitting down to meditate, we're showing the brain, hey, I don't have to spend time on that. The brain can throw up whatever, and we go, that's no different than hearing a car drive by right now, or hearing a kid run in the apartment upstairs. So practice. But then, probably if I look at my own experience of practice, meditation has probably been the most useful there, because it is that sitting down and showing the brain that, the things you're throwing up right now are no different. That thought is no different than that sound or that physical sensation under my foot. And so then everything gets put on the same level of experience. Barb. So I can see your question. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. So one thing, like you asked, how do you accept it? But one thing, acceptance is not like if we're having an experience, like we're accepting it. There's not like a special thing. Like acceptance isn't a special magic soap we're trying to use to feel okay about something or get rid of something. Acceptance is simply a recognition that something is there. We're often like very, very skilled at acceptance. Uh, if I see a cloud outside on my way to the grocery store and I go to the grocery store, I'm really good at accepting that cloud. It's there. I don't have to do anything with it. Silent spaces. Said, is it common for people who have had traumatic life events to find a new vitality and gratitude for life? I wonder how to find that joy in the mundane without needing a near-death experience. Oh no, so you're saying, it's not a question, you're saying it is common for people who have had traumatic life events to find a new vitality and gratitude for life. And so are you asking how to find it? Or are you just curious? And then you said, 2, I tend to categorize some aspects of life as those that are rewarding and those that are tedious are not my thing. The question is how to enrich those latter aspects and be less resistant to them. So it would depend on how you're being resistant to them. So again, like I would say one of the amazing practices or elements of exploring mindfulness, and also with just shifting the focus to, I guess right now, and really valuing right now, is that then anything can be kind of a marvel. And I don't mean the kind of the movies or the comic books, but a wonder. Because it's all of the judgments in our head that are constantly, and you see it there in what you described, like, oh, this doesn't matter, this is mundane, right? That categorization is what makes things unenjoyable. And mindfulness is essentially not doing that, right? Being in the present moment. I think it's John Kabat-Zinn's definition, right? Being in the present moment without judgment. It's kind of I'm paraphrasing there, but was his definition of mindfulness. It's very true. Right? Mindfulness is simply the quality that's there, the experience that's there when we cut out all of those judging compulsions we're constantly doing in our heads. And so, exploring non-judgment might be useful, but there's a lot of categories you've got going on there that probably won't be very helpful. Things should be, enriching, and there are mundane things, and there are important things, and so on. And what if you didn't need all of that stuff? Rocky said, how to practice meditation for a beginner level? I'm confused how to start. There are a lot of apps that cover beginner meditation that you can check out. I really like the Plum Village app. I would just grab the Plum Village app and pick some of the guided meditations in there and experiment with them. There's no right way to start. It's just like physical fitness. There's lots of different ways you can explore meditation. Silent spaces. Indeed, judging is the first compulsion. But I wouldn't say it's the trickiest. It's very simple, right? It's us like sticking a label on a thing and then attaching meaning to that label and believing in that label. I think it creates all. There's a good mall near here, but then I sprained my ankle yesterday coming out of the gym. I didn't see a step, and I hit it in the wrong way. So it's healing quickly and well. But then I was like, oh, I won't go walking around a mall this evening. But the internet, it's fast, but it's intermittent. It seems to cut out kind of inconsistently, unfortunately. In the future, we'll probably do some live streams, not from my apartment. But Golostento, you said, don't we need to categorize or make some tangible judgment about things in order to assert our sense of identity or what we want to dedicate our time to. I guess, yeah, maybe it's just how we're talking about judgment. Like, there are absolutely things I choose to give my time and energy to. I don't really think of them as judgments, but yeah, maybe it's also that. Like, I don't categorize them as like good things. They are just things I do, and I wouldn't attach them too closely to my identity. Like, if I was gonna do different things, then I could also do different things. Uh, oh, the fireworks are going off now. It is New Year's. So yeah, so I guess that'd be, so maybe I don't know if you want to explain further, like what how do you see yourself as losing the capacity to express your identity if you don't have to label things? Rocky, thank you for joining us and sharing. Maybe, yeah, if the internet is cutting out, then we might wrap things up then. But see, yeah, if anybody can hear this and you want to post a final question before we wrap up, get it up there. And otherwise, we'll get on with our Year of the Rabbit New Year's festivities. The holiday, at least the holiday here, is kind of, because it landed on a weekend, kind of Monday and Tuesday are sort of the days off. But like technically, really, tonight is New Year's. Erica, you said, I think we tend to categorize self-maintenance and environment maintenance tasks as tedious, uninteresting, not as worthy of our time as other things, like flossing or doing the dishes. Yeah, it really helped me to explore, especially with tasks like kind of around taking care of myself or taking care of my home. Because I would see them as tedious and not important, because especially if it was about taking care of me, wasn't important. I would only kind of take care of me to control what others thought. So if I wasn't seeing other people, then I wouldn't take care of me. And it really helped to explore giving time and energy to me, and exploring how to enjoy that care and kindness to myself. And then, of course, Silent Spaces has pointed out that if you have a water flosser, it's always a fun time. I don't know what a water flosser is. It sounds fun. Does it just sound? It just sounds like there's just like water, just like pure, spring water, just flossing through your teeth. Beautiful. Everybody, why don't we wrap things up there? Tonight's live stream was brought to you by some company that makes water flossers. Water flossers. It's like eating a stream. I hope everybody has a great week ahead. Enjoy giving your time and energy to those things you want to grow. Remember, it's not about fixing and avoiding something. It's about growing and building. Goal stand explaining more here about judgment and categorization says, I think with the idea of judgment, we might practice that when it comes to assessing our values, right? We're assessing what it means to be loyal or kind or loving, and we judge how to interact with the world accordingly. So actually I wouldn't pick values that are like an adjective. And so that might be it. Because yeah, if we're picking an adjective as a value, it's really difficult to see what that means. And then we get into lots of checking and so on. So yeah, that might be something to explore. What if you didn't pick values that were adjectives, but they were actions? Oh, I see lots of bunnies. Thank you. Oh, Costanzo, thank you for the well wishes for the week ahead to you as well. SW, thank you for the donuts. Neaton, thank you. And Kimberly, thank you so much for the donation and the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Everybody, thank you for joining together. Thank you for sharing about your squishy urge blobs. As always, it's wonderful to connect around these topics and learn how to swim together. Okay, I will see you next time. So we'll do in 2 weeks. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. And we'll see if this time seemed to be okay. We'll probably do the same time next time as we get all of our time zones sorted out. Okay, thank you, everyone.